Welcome to an introduction to accounting, brought to you by Parkbench Tutors. In this podcast we are going to look at payroll details for Adminsoft accounting. So we're going to start by going to the payroll, clicking on that, and we're going to select the payroll, and the first thing that is brought up is the fact that we have one payroll type which I've called monthly paid. In fact, this is the only payroll on this at the moment. If I wanted to set up a new payroll, I would click down here where it says create a new payroll, and I will be asked to provide some details. So for example, if I had employees who were paid monthly and others who were paid weekly, I might want to put some on a monthly payroll and some on a weekly payroll. I would then be running more than one payroll each month. Obviously, we don't have any departments, and as indicated, we would say that this was weekly. It doesn't end at the end of the month. The default payment method would be needed. I click on that and I select, and we're going to pay our employees by check. And now I need the accounts that I will use for PAYE control. I ask to find that account, and it will come here, and I'm looking for PAYE liability, so there we are, we've entered that. And now I need the salaries expense, which will be in the 7000 series somewhere. Here we are. And the salary expense for the employer's national insurance contribution, salaries employer NI, there we are, we have that. We're not concerned with directors, unlikely they'd be paid weekly anyway. Now we have a new payroll, so I click on that. You can see I have now two payrolls that I can run, one for monthly paid employees and one for weekly employees. In fact, all we're interested in at the moment is in the payrolls, and no one is on the weekly one, so I can just click on monthly paid. And the first thing I would need to do is to set up the next period. So I would need to go back to this point, and I would see that the last period is the 31st of the 7th, period 4. So my next period will be period 5. So if I now go and click on period 5, is coming up, 2013, period 5 ending in August. So I can say OK. That will be my next one. So now I've got the list of employees, and we will just take one of these employees. We're going to take Horace, and we're going to look at the pay input. Horace is monthly paid, and we can see here he is paid 3,200 per month, and the breakdown of that pay will be that he will pay that 487 in tax, 307.92 in employer's ID. We will have to contribute as the employer 355 and so on, and his net pay will be 2,454. Okay, so those are the pieces of information for Horace, and so I can now say OK. We will save that, and we'll have OK. And you can see that Horace's payment has now been made. I would now go down and do the same by selecting the others, so that Tanya Nile, for example, is selected. I now look at the pay input. She is on 860 per month at the moment. Because of when she started, there will be no tax, so I'm going to save that one. Okay, so we have those two paid. Now we'll have Forestina Gump pay input. Now you'll notice with her that there's a slight difference here in that we have the standard hourly rate, but she hasn't got anything down there at the moment because she hasn't worked any hours. So let's give her some hours, and as soon as we give her some hours, you will see that she gets a gross pay. It's under the national insurance threshold, so that's not going to be there at the moment. So I'm going to save that one. What I can do at this point is just look at what it would say on her pay slip, and I'm just pulling that up for the moment. So that would be her pay slip showing her gross pay. In fact, there'd be no tax or NI deductions, and that would also be her net pay. it shows how much he's been paid to date, and so on. So I will close that again, and we've saved that. Let's say OK. And so the only other thing that's needed is to take Timothy Madden's and to look at the pay input. And Timothy Madden is again paid on an hourly basis. We would say that he has 40 hours, and we can also say, let's say he worked some overtime for which we paid him £15. So just entered that. We'll say he worked 8 hours overtime, and we've now added that. So we now have his gross pay, and again we're going to save that and say OK. So if I look at that now, I have a summary of the payments made to each of those employees. And at this point I could preview all the pay slips, which would mean I would just click on there and open it, and so that we can see it. There we have Forstina Gump, pull it down, Horace Hill, Timothy Madden. Okay, we will close that. Now at this point I could print the pay slips, which would be the normal things, or I could pay all the employees. What I'm going to do is pay all the employees, and it asks me how I want to pay them. I want to pay them by check, and so I'm going to say OK. I will pay them, and it is now processing, and it will make all the payments to the various accounts.